So, good evening. Call this meeting of the City Council to order for December 14th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Council roll call. Councilor Hearn.
Here.
Councilor Smith.
Here.
Councilor Wood.
Here.
Councilor Ribbon. Here. Councilor Miller.
Here.
Councilor Pointer.
Here.
All right. Okay, consent agenda. Oh, no, first we got citizen comments. Sorry, skipped ahead. Member comments are the opportunity for the community to present information or speak on an issue not on the agenda or on agenda items that do not include public hearings. Comments are limited to 3 minutes for each person. The mayor may reduce the time limit per speaker depending on the number of speakers. Videos are not turned on for this portion of the meeting, and visitor microphones are muted through the meeting, with the exception of the allotted 3 minutes. Visitors may state their comments and should not expect the council to engage in back and forth dialogue regarding the comments. Public hearing testimony will be taken during the public hearing and not under visitor comments. During public hearing agenda items, the mayor will announce a separate procedure for the council to hear public testimony relating to the subject matter of the hearing. All right, so we have quite a few. So we're going to start off with Laura Valancier.
She's on Zoom. Let me find her.
She wanted to read it.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
As a citizen of Lakeside, I'm concerned about our city budget and the high price you're choosing to pay for a city manager when we've always had a city recorder. We are a small city of 1,700 and we don't have the employees necessary to pay for a city manager at $70,000 a year. Obviously, your financial choices matter, and I ask you to reconsider the high salary, including payments in lieu of insurance, of the new city manager. His job description should also include the city bookkeeping, which was successfully handled by most past city recorders. With regard to the recommendations for planning commissioners from your planning commission, all commissioners should possess certain character qualities, that of humility, patience, willingness to learn, and willingness to work together and with the community as a whole. David Smith is being recommended to the council to be a new commissioner. David Smith lacks the qualities of character necessary to work as a team player, as witnessed by his interview, where he refused to answer interview questions asked by the planning commission. He's also had altercations with citizens in public and harasses the public at city meetings. We can't move ahead unless we demand that all commissioners who come on board have good character as witnessed by their actions in public. Lastly, the recalled councilors and mayor have the option to save the city some money. One of you can resign today before the 22nd of December, and one new councilor can be appointed. This allows a quorum of 4 in order to unquestionably conduct business. If you choose not to do this, the expense of a special election falls only upon your shoulders. As a concerned citizen, I wish you would make this financially sound choice. Thank you.
All right. Shirley Bennell.
Where'd she go? I gotta mute her.
Hey everyone, Shirley Bennell, Lakeside resident, and although I know a great number of people might be here to make some complaints and suggestions, I wanted to say that I speak for a whole lot of people who don't speak up in saying that to the outgoing council, mayor, and staff, including Rick, we really appreciate all of your time and dedication. We have full faith that you guys always had Lakeside's best interest at heart, that you love our community, And we appreciate your time that you dedicated to all of us. Thank you.
Linda Sherritt.
I'm here representing LRP, Lakeside Revitalization Partnership. I'd like to ask permission to continue the holiday train, which we put out in front on November 28th, next year for 2024. Not knowing what will happen after this month and knowing you're not supposed to make any decisions during this time, I'm asking for an exception. This will allow us to advertise for new cars before our April deadline. I already have one group who have voiced interest and possibly two more. The price of the plywood has come down, so our cars are still $35 and building is $55. They will have a design of your choice cut out and drawn on the plywood after 2 coats of primer and 2 coats of base paint. LRP can paint it for you for a total cost of $100. I'd like to have, if it's okay.
I don't have a problem with that.
Do we have to add it to the agenda?
I think it's a community thing that if you had consensus that you did not have an issue with it, that it would just be a continued thing for longevity.
I don't see a problem with it.
I don't see a problem either.
Thank you.
Michael Armstrong.
Good evening. My wife and I retained a law firm, Herring Law PC, and their municipal law expert attorney, J. Aaron Landau, requesting a legal opinion on whether or not the remaining 3 counselors could appoint replacements per ORS 221.160. As you know, and might recall last meeting, the city attorney, Barry Garnelli, advised that ORS 221.160 does not apply to Lakeside, or it does. And it's so Mr. Landau's opinion that ORS 221.160 is the only way forward for the city, as our charter does not specifically specify a method for replacing recall counseling. What does that mean for ORS 221.160? Once the election is certified, the 3 remaining counselors must call for a special election, which they can do with no quorum. They can also, if there is no city reporter, can appoint the city reporter according to law. The only option available not requiring a special election, before the recall election is certified, one of the 4 counselors being recalled must resign before certification, which would allow the remaining 6 counselors to appoint 1 member. And when the election is certified, a quorum will exist and the remaining members can be appointed, which is what Brookings recalled mayor and councilors have done. If one of the recalled councilors fails to resign before the election is certified by the 20th, Tom, Alan, and Mickey must call for a special meeting to begin the process for a special election until all the vacancies are filled. If you like, I'll stay after the meeting and have the complete opinion of the attorneys and try to show it.
Kelly Armstrong.
Hi, Elaine Armstrong, Lakeside. I just want to go on what Michael said and remind the mayor and 3 counselors of them saying many times that they were new to the position of being on the council and how much you wanted to help the city and only wanted to do what was right for the city. Some of you have even stated you plan on running again for mayor or council for this next election. If you really wanted to help the city and do what is right and save the city the cost of a special election, at least one of you should or could resign tonight and request applications for appointment of a new council. Then hold a special meeting by December 19th to appoint one new council. By doing this, the city would then have a quorum after the recall is certified on the 20th, and it would do away with the need of a special election, saving the city thousands of dollars. What better way to show you really care for the city by saving that money? Then when you're campaigning in 10 months, you can even say, I'm running for city council because I really care about the city. I even resigned to help the city. So we didn't have to have a special election, thus saving the city thousands of dollars. How could anyone argue that point? You really care about the city. Your actions, not your words, showed it. You did what was right and you did it for the city. Instead of saying, because I was angry and hurt, I'm going to do whatever I can to hurt the city back. Make them do a special election at a cost to the city. Make them pay for what they did to me. Which one sounds better? I care about the city, or I want revenge because I was hurt. So please, tonight, one of you resign so the remaining council can appoint a new councillor by December 19th, thus saving the city thousands of dollars and showing you really care about the city and have its best interest at heart. There has been much talk about working together, trying to bring the city back together. Let not it be just words, but let your actions show you mean it.
Mark Crouch.
Well, Mark Crouch, proud citizen of Lakeside. I can't be as eloquent as Elaine, but I also believe that within less than a week now, we're going to have a quorum issue. And it would be bad for the citizens if this happens. You realize that the council will not be effective for several months. And of course, the cost of the election. The simple and honorable solution to this problem would be very simply if the mayor or one of the recalled councilors resigns before certification of the recall, and the existing council can appoint a new councilor ensuring a quorum. I see no reason not to take this option. It's a win-win for everybody. It means by somebody doing that, it sets them up to be reelected again. The remaining council is perfectly capable of appointing a new councilor. They've done it quite a bit. As a matter of fact, quite a bit in the future and everything like that. And it's really, when you think about it, it's kind of ridiculous to hold an election in 3 months and then to turn around, not even before the year ends, and hold another election. So basically what I'm saying is recall councilors and mayor, consider your actions. This is going to be your legacy, you know, and no, it's not. Just and this is kind of what I'm talking about. Are you guys going to be up to the challenge or not? Thank you.
Mark Crouch.
Crouch, Lakeside. I'm not going to talk to you about resigning. I am going to talk to you about this employment agreement. All of you got in your packet. I'm not an attorney, but I have 35 years of experience in doing documents. And this is a really poor example of an employment agreement. It looks like Melissa's contract with some items changed out, and they didn't even bother to change what is called a defined term. Anytime you say the city and you're talking about the employer, use the city consistently throughout the document. This document has the city and then it has employee. It's very confusing. There's a lot of things in here. I'm going to try to go through section 2
They call the new city manager recorder the chief administrative officer. Really? That's new. Again, it has the employer ordinances. It doesn't talk about the city charter. So we have a city charter that guides what the city recorder manager is supposed to do. Also, I skipped over a part. It says it's for a term of 6 months, beginning tomorrow. Okay, I don't know when this was negotiated. I don't think there was an executive session. If there was, it wasn't properly posted. So who, I know you can't answer the question, but it should be on your minds. Who negotiated this contract? Did the candidate submit this and you just said, okay? Because that's not negotiating. Okay. So I heard, when we stayed for the executive session, I heard Alan saying we have to offer 70,000. And Tom pushed back and said, why don't we start at 60 so we don't have to go higher than 70? This comes across at 70. And then it has payment for medical benefits. Who gets that? Who gets that? When you have the baggage that this guy has, that he comes in with, you don't get to demand the highest salary. You take what's given to you, or you walk away. Okay? I worked for a lot of companies, and I've never had a week's vacation given to me upfront. And when I complained about this on Facebook, Amanda Poe, who I guess worked for Cardinal, said, well, that's what top executives get. This guy is not a top executive. Sorry, he wouldn't be coming to Lakeside if he was. All right? You do not need to pay him a week's vacation upfront. It also has inconsistencies throughout the document. It says he gets paid 70,000 a year in the installments that are paid to the rest of the employees. Well, guess what? That's not identified in this contract. Later, it says how much sick pay you'll get and how much vacation per pay period.
Time.
Anyway, if you care to talk to me after, I have my contract here.
Time's up. Mike Phillips.
What is it?
I don't know.
Anyway, Mike Phillips, live in Lakeside. I just want to thank the outgoing mayor, city manager, city council people, and the ones that are staying for all the great work that you have done in the past and all the great work you could have done in the future if you were given the opportunity. All this that's going on is bullshit. And I hope you guys can look at yourself in the mirror without the damn mirror breaking, because it should. We'll leave a man that knows his name out of it. That's my daughter. You did, yeah.
Hey, my
That's enough. Hey,
No, not tonight.
order. That's enough. This meeting's not gonna go that way. That's it.
Thank you.
All right,
I apologize, Mayor and county, for getting upset.
all right. We're gonna go on to the consent agenda. Chance to read things?
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda for the minutes of November 9th, 21st, 27th, and December 4th, 2023, the November expense and payroll reports, and the monthly update reports from the library and planning, but there were no updates.
I second. All right, motion's been made by Councilor Hearn and second by Councilor River. Any discussion or? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
And
All right. Next, we have the fiscal year 22-23 audit report from Laura Fisher.
There. You guys have your copies of these, I'm going to talk about
some of what's in there. I'm not gonna go over it word for word or even page by page. I just want to point out some of the items that are in there. There should have been two items, letters on letterhead. One of those, first paragraph down after has significant audit matters and it's underlined. This is just boilerplate. There's nothing in here that we don't put in every single audit that we issue. It's required communication, so you can just do that if you wish or set it aside. The second one is a letter of comments or some suggestions and things that we found that we recommend that you implement during the next year. We did not have any significant audit findings, what we call reportable findings, so there's nothing written up in the bound packet or the report that can be found on the Secretary of State's website. There's no findings reported at all. And I'm very happy to say that that's the first time since 2018 that I've been able to say that. I think one of the things that the city did that I commend you for doing a year and a half ago, I think it was going to an outside CPA to do the bookkeeping. It is pretty complex fund accounting, which you have 7 funds, 8 funds, it's quite a bit different than just routine bookkeeping. I'm going to go through just a couple of the sections of the audited financials here in the packet. First, I do want to talk a little bit about what we do in a financial statement audit. So, because the city is a government and we're doing it under a contract, we're doing it under 3 sets of standards. There's the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants tells me as an auditor, I have to do A, B, and C. I have to do them in a certain way. The state of Oregon comes in and says there's certain things we have to test also. Those include things like making sure that you are putting public notice out, things out for bid, projects and things. We need to make sure that you're not investing in stocks, you could lose principal. We need to make sure that you're following budget law, making publications timely, things of that nature. There's a whole list of those. We also audit under government auditing standards, which is another set of standards. It says it's a little bit redundant over what the state is. It says we have to test to make sure you comply with rules, laws, regulations, contracts, agreements, stuff like that. We had no findings in any of that, nothing reportable at all. So in our bound packet, there are 3 reports, one addressing each of those. One addresses the AICPA, one addresses the state of Oregon, and one addresses the government accounting standard says. Those are letterhead and they are all clean. The only, and it's not an issue, on page 2 is the first report, and that's the AICPA one. And it qualified, but only because the city took the step about 4 or 5 years ago of choosing not to follow one particular accounting standard that requires you to record the cost of an implicit rate subsidy on your health insurance for 20 years out into the future. And that would have to have an actuarial firm perform evaluation, and it's going to cost probably $2,500 and upwards. So the city is like, yeah, we're not going to do that. We'll just take a little qualified opinion in our audit report. Other than that, everything is clean. You can see that on page 2, unmodified opinions on all of your funds. The next thing I wanted to show you, so there's a management discussion and analysis narrative that follows that, and then all the financial statements and all the footnotes and all the nitty-gritty detail. On page 38 is the general fund financials on your budgetary basis. I realize we're 6 months out now. That shows what the city had as of June 30th of 23, what you had spent. And the one thing I do want to point out is in the 3rd column over. So there's the original budget, final budget, and an actual column. About 2/3 of the way down, there's a total of your, well, actually, it's your net change in fund balance. So it's the 3rd line from the bottom. The general fund went backwards $192,000. Most of that was because you opened up the new funds, the tourism fund and the community development fund. You put $154,000 into those funds. So if you go turn the page, go back 3 pages, if you've got the next page is state street tax and the library. So on page 41 is your new community development fund. And you can see you have the income that received in first fees and permits, you had some expenses, and then you had the $70,000 transfer that came in, leaving that with a balance of $65,000. On the next page, page 42 is your tourism fund.
Again, you can see the transient tax funds coming in there, some donations, grants, and expenses, leaving that one with $99,000. Second notes there. Again, I think other than thanking Melissa, Tina, and Stephanie Stroud for providing all the information we asked for and very promptly, and it was accurate. It was a very good audit. I appreciate your hard work. You guys have any questions about how you perform the audit?
No?
Thank you very much.
I'm available for about another 2 weeks, then I'm retiring.
Congratulations.
You guys know where to reach me, right here in North Bend at HMW.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Safe trip home.
All right. Wastewater plant project update. Aaron.
Council.
Good evening.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna give an update on the wastewater plant. Always, I get excited about wastewater, so. Process drawings, those are the drawings that show the overall plant, the schematics. Those are approximately 95%. Now, the advanced civil design and mechanical drawings, those are roughly 70% design. So the Dyer does a lot of mechanical and civil in-house. We're approximately 70% of our designs. Those are now sent to structural engineers and electrical consultants. R&W out of Beaverton does our electrical, and Portland does our structural. Electrical, they're on track for 50% design in late January. At the time we get the 50% electrical drawings, we're anticipating submitting the packet to DEQ for review and approval to allow us to complete it. Electrical is one of those things that DEQ is not going to focus on primarily, so it's normal for that to be like 50%. Structural right now is approximately 70% complete. We're working on some crane pads and some influent pump station roofing plans. But overall, conceptually, we all know where we're going. It's just a matter of making things fit. The retrofit of the existing plant takes a little bit more time. Because the structural has to evaluate design concepts. We go out in the field and look and see, oh, not quite what we had in mind. We're going to anticipate having a DQ set for our original schedule submitted in end of January. Early. That's all in line with the original schedule. I'm just giving you an update where we're at. Some of the items that we're going to talk to DQ about is there's reclaimed water separation rules now that didn't necessarily exist when the old plant and a lot of infrastructure was put in place. And there's a little bit of gray area there. You know, DQ wants you to have certain separation requirements existing and new, but it doesn't explicitly state that if we're going to reuse things, do we have to replace them to the current standard or reuse. So there's going to be some DQ coordination meetings. The other alternative, there's two alternatives. One is we try to get DEQ involved and work through the design before we submit the final plans to them. The other alternative is we take our best shot at it, submit it, and go through revisions later. So we think the option of submitting, working with DEQ is going to be a better process for the city. So we're working on that. Front-end bid documents, we're working on those in-house, trying to get those up to speed while we're waiting for our structural and electrical engineers to catch up to speed. And we're about 25% on the written specifications. So after we get all the drawings done, you guys haven't seen it yet, there's big books that go with those which outline all the written requirements or specifications. And those are about 25%. Those should be wrapped up for the end of January for a DQ review set to go on. So that's where we're at on the drawings and the nuts and bolts of the engineering. Schedule overall, it's on schedule with no issues. We'll know more about the schedule in the next month or so after we talk to DQ, get them on schedule to talk to us. Budget update, no issues on the budget at this time. Funding update, we've been working with Business Oregon. To my knowledge, there's no issues with that. The city of Lakeside is actually in a really unique situation. They did act early on the ARPA funds. A lot of
recipients of the ARPA funds, from our reports, haven't issued contracts to get the engineers on record yet or been started. And they're in jeopardy of losing some funds that was, so that is commendable to get that up and moving and to be on schedule. In the upcoming months, we're gonna talk to the funding agency about the phasing and soliciting of some funding from phase 2. So phase 1 is to spend the ARPA money at the new north site, and phase 2 was to provide a lab and some other facilities at the north side. I'm recommending that we phase that because you don't want 2 contractors working on the same site at the same time. So as we advance this design, get that to bid, we then start soliciting options for the city to consider for financing for phase 2. And we want to sequence those because if someone issues you financing and says you have 3 years to spend it, we need to look at the overall schedules to make sure that we don't put you in lines. So that's coming up in 2024. Let's talk about funding. Items needed from the city. The city's working right now to confirm potholing for Dyer. What they're doing is we ask them to pothole, dig down, and confirm existing utilities. And our staff's been working with Rick and the wastewater team, and they've been doing a good job on that. Specifically, we're looking for the existing non-potable water piping that's not extended to the site. But that's normal. Everyone's going fine there. Next steps would be, we suggest meeting with city staff after the first of the year, perhaps mid-January, to talk to DEQ, show them our roughly 60 to 70% combined set, ask them if they have any major concerns. If they do, we'll address those, and hopefully get to the point where in January or February, when we submit a full document to them, we get rapid approval. But this time, if there's any questions, I'll be glad to address them.
Something up pretty good.
So we're on time and within budget?
Within engineering budget, yes. We'll as we get closer to the DEQ set, we'll provide an updated construction budget.
Okay.
Again, we pre-procured the membrane costs, and those were under the original. Nothing significantly in size or footprint has changed.
Okay.
There's some good discoveries this last month. There's an existing non-potable water pump system up there. We're trying to prove that to reuse it.
Okay.
Everything on paper shows that we're gonna be able to reuse it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and that's moving right along. I wish to go a little faster.
So do we.
For clarification, last time I was here, I was hoping to speed it up a little faster than our schedule.
Yeah.
We're still right on our schedule.
Well, that's good then.
Slip a little bit from what I wanted. We're still on the original schedule.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sarah.
All right, planning commission appointments.
Sherry, I'm not going to vote on this agenda item.
Okay. You're accusing yourself.
Yes.
Yep. All right, so we have two. We have Rob Ward and David Smith.
And the planning commission recommends, yeah, there it is. They recommend the approval of both.
Yes.
One.
Yes, the
Well, I move the Lakeside City Council appoint both Mr. Ward and Mr. Smith to the Planning Commission for a term of 4 years, starting January 1st of 2024 and ending December 31st of 2027.
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Councilor Ritter, second by Councilor Woods to appoint Rob Ward and Dave Smith to the Planning Commission. Is there any discussion? No, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right. Welcome, gentlemen. Okay. Okay, approval of contract for new city manager, recorder Rick on and introduction. Would you like?
I'm not in this.
Yeah. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, you should probably vote on the contract first.
Okay, well, that's fine. All right, so everybody has had a chance to read the contract.
I make a motion that we hire Mr. Rick Holmbaum, did I pronounce that right? For the employment agreement of the city recorder / manager for the city of Lakeside.
I second. All right, motion's been made by Councilor Ritter. Made by Councilor Hearn, second by Councilor Ritter to approve the contract for Laura's city manager reporter, Rick Honbaum. Now, is there any discussion?
I just had a question for our city manager, present city manager. The issue I brought up about the insurance, that was apparently rude. It said, yeah, you did check into that. And
Yes, it's reflected in the contract for the approximate amount of what insurance would cost the city a month.
But there was some question about whether.
Oh, yeah, it's not an issue. We have another staff member that does that option also.
I do have a question. We have,
For me,
yeah, for you. We haven't received, the results of the background check.
the background check we have received, it is clear,
Okay,
Yeah.
and the reference check.
is clear. Yeah.
Are we supposed to get copies or anything of that?
I can forward you copies. I don't know, about the redact. I mean, yeah, it's all clear. I can forward you copies of it.
Would there be some?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what yeah. It was a third party that conducted it and went through it and it's all was clear. Yeah, no issues.
There's just some wording in the contract that I bring up. Section 2, under duties, number 3, the employee or designee will attend and will be permitted to attend all meetings. I don't understand the designee if he's not able to attend.
Is-
Want somebody to come in his place?
I didn't work on the contract or have any input into it, but I can only speculate that if he's unable to attend, but Aaron can attend to give a wastewater update. I mean, in that respect, or another staff member can talk on the subject matter, they would take over and do that. I mean, make that I mean, that's what I would assume.
Then I too had the question about the insurance and whether it would affect our statuses.
Mm-mm.
Section 5 or section 6, excuse me. Professional activities. Says city shall to expense financially viable. Pay for conferences, including professional dues. If you go on down, it says which in the judgment of the mayor are necessary. I don't know if maybe that should include the mayor and council. In that statement.
I know conferences and dues is a line item budget that's budgeted every year. And so I know that, for instance,
Especially in
cities usually pay for LOC conferences for staff or that kind of thing. I'm not sure it comes before the council or mayor, so I'd assume it's budgeted and it's approved by the council at the time of budget, that line item. So I mean, it's up to you guys. You discuss, you change, but if you're asking,
these are
yeah.
just things that are sticking out to me.
Yeah.
Language wise.
Yeah, the beginning the employment with 40 hours of accrued vacation time. I had a little bit of an issue with. I didn't know if there was a little bit of room to talk about that with a candidate.
About what?
The 40 hours of accrued vacation time to start. Is there a time we can?
So I guess what I would say is you've had the packet for a week and the contract in it. I mean, I wish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have all had it. That was your time to get back and kind of negotiate. I'm not, again, I am not involved in this. It's between you and the candidate. So he's here tonight. If you want to negotiate out in the open this, you're more than welcome to. I think that's acceptable. I mean, you're here discussing it. Again, city managers negotiate their vacation time and front load them. I mean, pretty much across the board. It's up to you guys. It's your decision.
And this contract is for 6 months. So,
It's reoccurring. I mean,
yeah, it
Automatically,
renews to
yes.
something else, so.
yes.
All right. Is there any more discussion on it? Do you have more questions, Tom? Okay. Yeah, nobody else has any. All right, so, all in favor? You did.
You need a first,
Oh, we did.
oh yeah, you have a first and a second, Hearn and Ritter.
Yep. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey,
Who said
No.
nay, nay?
All right. How would you like to introduce yourself?
Mayor and council, thank you for approving the contract. I'm happy to discuss with you. Hey, it's quite common. When you're a senior seasoned employee, as I am, I'm new here. Typically, they start their vacation a little further up the ladder than a record. And typically, there is some allotment of vacation time on the front end, rather than me having to collect, especially when I'm planning on spending 2 days after Christmas with family in Santa Rosa. So this contract was negotiated between the city attorney and myself. I do not privilege to what conversations he had with you in that regards. My communication point of contact with Gary, and we had at least 3 different conversations and verbalized it around. Originally, the contract was a 1-year start, and I asked for 6 months because I wanted whoever is sitting in your seats next not to feel overly obligated. It's Yahoo you hire. So, which is why I said, let's make it 6 months instead of a year. Let's make it automatically renewable unless there's a vote of the council to the contrary. So that language is a little bit different than normal, just because there's a balance of what provided the council, whoever it may be, options, as well as some job security to me, picking up and down here and getting involved. My name is Rick Hollenbaum. I've been a city manager off and on for about 20 years. My first career was with United Parcel Service, UPS. Good employer. Paid well, union wages, great benefits. I even knew what I was going to wear every day. But it was boring. As a UPS driver, I served as a city councilor in one city that was so small they didn't have a city manager. And I was in charge of police, streets, and parks, including hiring and budget. I had the foggiest idea what I was doing. While serving as a city councilor, I went and got my master's degree in public administration. I didn't have to do any internship or anything like that. I just used my experience as a city councilor and police commissioner and street commissioner, park commissioner. Learned a lot doing both the real life stuff and the academic stuff. So later, I became a mayor in the fastest growing city in the state in the 1990s. And then about after my mayorship,
The new mayor put me on the planning commission because as he put it, I'm the only person that understood the connectivity between transportation and land use. I represented that community on several regional boards, which is pretty unusual just as a planning commission, based upon my experience and my knowledge. And then it was about 6 years after my mayorship, on the 4th of July, I left UPS and became city administrator in a small town in which I was the first full-time city administrator they ever had. So I have served several cities, both in Oregon and Alaska, state where I grew up at. And I have also been employed as an HR director at the Lower Umpqua Hospital. I've done other mostly public sector work in that regards. My wife and I own a house in Gardner, and I will be residing at that residence in Gardner. Driving 14 miles. Happily married, got 3 kids. One's a vice principal at a very large Portland area high school. One's a professional firefighter, and one is not an architect, but does drawing for construction firms. I have been a volunteer firefighter the majority of my life. Convinced that the purest form of volunteerism is serving as a volunteer firefighter, because you are always on call, even if you're not doing it. I have 2 city managers in the state that come with a background in emergency management. And so I've done a lot of work with emergency management. I've also served on a DEQ advisory board. So I've been in and out. Laurel, I know. Fisher, the one that just spoke, I know because I previously have served as the CFO for Keel. She doing more consulting. So, no, my name is Rick Holm, and I will have the same email address that your current city manager has. So I'll reach out, please feel free to use. Any questions in relation to either my contract or director comments from the council?
Nope. Thank you very much. Welcome aboard.
All right. Resolution 2023-11.
Who is this person?
Delegation of authority in the event of a lack of quorum.
Do we need to reread it?
Yep. You want to read it?
Sure. Resolution 2023-11, a resolution to delegate authority in the event of a lack of quorum exists and a special election is necessary. Whereas a recall election was held on November 28th, 2023, and whereas a potential exists for a quorum of council to be recalled, and whereas if the recall is successful, a special election will need to be held in order to obtain a quorum to conduct business. And whereas the city needs to continue to operate during the interim, now therefore let it be resolved, the Lakeside City Council authorizes the city manager, interim city manager, or other designee to conduct business not requiring legislative action that is in the best interest and on behalf of the city. This resolution only becomes effective if the aforementioned lack of quorum exists.
All right. So. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion for us to accept or to approve resolution 20-2311, a resolution to delegate authority to in the event of a lack of quorum that exists in a special election if necessary.
I second.
All right, motion's been made by Counselor Ritter, second by Counselor Smith. To adopt resolution 2023-11. Is there any discussion?
I had a couple of questions. It says, authorized city manager, interim city manager, or other designee. Who would be the other designee and who would be the designated officer?
At this point, it's actually your city manager. That's who you have. You just approved and hired, so.
So you're saying city manager.
No, well, your city manager is gonna be the one that is handling and paying the bills and doing what needs to be done.
The other question is probably related, but not requiring legislative action. Could you define that?
Well, obviously, they're not gonna approve like planning, hearing, things that have to go before council for like a hearing approval, like subdivisions and that kind of thing. Ordinances, they're not gonna do ordinances. He's not gonna go and rewrite all your ordinances, obviously. Basically just keep the lights on, make decisions in running the city. It's not gonna be anything, that we don't do on a day-to-day basis. It's just, you know.
Okay. I guess I have one more question.
Okay.
Doesn't really say it, but when does this resolution cease to be effective? Just when there is a quorum?
Yeah, the minute you have a quorum and can start meeting, then yeah, you would have the same. You would meet as a council.
I have a question. Can you just reiterate to me again, for my knowledge, what will not be able to be done to keep the lights on in here if there's no quorum? Like the day-to-day bare minimum, what will not be able to be done?
So you're asking, are you asking in the negative if this is not approved, what happens? Or are you
Yeah,
asking?
like if this is not approved, then what will go undone or what will go?
So
not done?
the biggest example I can think of just off the top of my head at this moment is you have a staff member who has a Cert 4 that is required for DEQ to run your wastewater treatment plant, who is leaving on the same day I am. One of the considerations is to get him contracted as an independent contractor to use his certs to be able to continue to do the DEQ reports. Without council here, he would be able to get that contract in place and keep the person there so we can be in compliance with DEQ and our ARPA. So that's one of the, that's one example, that kind of thing.
Any more discussion? Nope. All right, all in favor? Aye.
I,
All opposed?
Aye.
Right, motion carries.
Was that 6-1 with Pointer voting no? Okay, okay, thank you.
All right, district board and committee reports. Airport, there was no meeting. Watershed, Councilor Miller.
No meeting.
Water District, Councilor Hearn.
They are looking to hire a new employee to replace Kimberly, the clerk. And their one stop is on track and they are doing a high volume water pumping this time of year. Everything else seems to be looking good.
All right. 10 Mile Lake Association was unable to attend. Okay. Fire District, Councilor Pointer.
So fire district board met last night. In the last month, we had 56 calls. 57% of them on the north side of the tracks, which again emphasizes the future need for on that side. 650 calls so far this year. Everything else on track and hunky dory.
Lakeside Business Owners, Councilor Smith.
I was not able to attend this meeting.
All right, we'll move on to city manager report.
Mayor and councilors, this is my last meeting and I just want to thank you and the citizens and the city in general for this opportunity. I had a pleasure serving you, and I love this community and the people I've met and the friends I've made. And I just am hoping to see Lakeside go on to do great things.
All right, let's start at the other end this time. Comment?
Oh, Melissa, it's been interesting. It was, sorry to see the recall happen, but,
Good luck to you, Melissa, in your new adventure. Thank you for being here. And yeah, I agree with Alan. It's, we're in a kind of a spot that's not so great right now, but, we'll work through it. We'll get through.
Melissa, I want to thank you for doing what you do to have the city get a excellent audit. Just goes to prove that the city and the financials and what you're doing with the city is according to regs and instructions and laws. And to get an unqualified opinion, having been an auditor for 25 years, that says a lot for what you've done for the city, and we all appreciate it. And thank you very much.
Yes, Melissa, I was only with you for a short time, but I do appreciate you answering all my silly questions. And I wish you the best of luck. Hopefully come back to visit Lakeside. I'm looking forward to working with Rick, and I really hope that we can have a fresh start and we can come together and really just all see Lakeside grow. I think that's all why we're in this room right now. So I really hope that we can, maybe put some things behind us and shake hands and we can move forward and work as a team. Yeah, and I'm sad to see you guys go, but I know you guys will keep moving on in life and a good thing. So thank you.
Thank you, Melissa, for being on call and answering all my questions and letting me ask more questions and more questions and more questions. Because I ask a lot of questions. And thank you everyone who attended. It's nice to see a full house. It's nice to see a bunch of people on Zoom. And that's it.
I'd like to thank Laura Fisher and Aaron Speakman for their reports. Shows that we're on time, on schedule, and you guys are doing a great job. I'd like to thank Rick for his service and an awesome job that he's done getting the wastewater treatment plant back on track and getting all the reports and everything done. It's not easy. I've pushed paper before and I hate it. And then I'd like to apologize to the citizens of Lakeside, the ones that do not do social media, that do not do Zoom, that do not do YouTube, as those are the only current options to find out what really goes on here in the city council. That left those people being uninformed about what was going on in the city government. I was remiss in getting the information out to these people so they could make an intelligent decision in the recall. A lot of people came and said, I didn't know what it was. I hadn't heard about it. I don't know what it is. I'm not voting. I don't know what to do. And so I will promise to do my best in the upcoming special election to get the information out there. If I have to go door to door, I will do that. I want to thank you to the citizens that voted for me in the last year, and I will do my best to bring Lakeside back into the 21st century and be viable again. So thank you again to Melissa. Thank you for my cohorts on the council here, and I wish you guys the best of luck. And that's it.
All right, so it's my turn. I was gonna write something, but I decided not to. I want to thank you guys. Thank you for everybody's support that we've had. I've had several people come and say they had no idea what was going on. And like Karen said, it's not everybody's on Facebook. Unfortunately, some people take that as gospel. I would just encourage everybody to do your own research on people. Please don't just read what your neighbor writes and, just do it yourself. You can find out a whole lot more, especially if you just call the person and ask them, hey, what happened here? I wanna. Melissa? Melissa and I started a friendship right from the beginning, and I really appreciate everything. She's a wealth of knowledge. The audit should tell you right there. She just has a ton of knowledge, and she knows what she's doing, and she has really helped. And I hope you don't have to go over there and go through what you've gone through here. I really don't like to see people treated that way, but thank you. And I think we have something that we'd like to present to Melissa now.
We do.
Yeah. I duck? Do I duck? So sweet.
Always a long day.
Scared. It's been a little bit of a hostile environment.
As you know, I like to stab things.
Yeah.
So I had so much fun stabbing this.
Goodness.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Oh.
And again, I know there's gonna be rumbles throughout the community, and my only hope and prayer is that everybody can come together and move the city forward. There's so much hatred and so much division in this community, it's unreal. And I pray for it every day that you just come together and move forward and everybody get along. Everybody has to live here together, and it is what it is. So with that being said, I'll adjourn this meeting.